Central Asian Oriental sculpture and masterpieces of Western European art, shimmering Oriental ornaments, and antique marble compositions. Works of prominent avant-garde artists and mysterious characters of Japanese kuyo engraving. All this is the jewel of the collection of the State Museum of Uzbekistan. It was created in Tashkent exactly 100 years ago in 1918. During its lifetime, museum has lived through a lot of amazing stories that are connected both of the fate of the people and the fate of the amazing collections that are stored here. But first things first. The collection of the museum evolved from the collection of Great Duke Nikolai Romanov, grandson of the Russian Emperor Nikolai I. The military official Nikolai Romanov, who was awarded the highest award for military merits in the year 80, was unexpectedly sent to exile to Turkestan. Along with him, his art collection was transported, which was an ornament of his palace, built in the center of Tashkent in 1883. These marble masterpieces of the museum were the first sculptures that were then installed in Tashkent in an oak park adjacent to the palace. It was a private collection, a private museum. It contained 500 exhibits. Mixture of Russian and Western European, paintings, graphics, as well as works of sculpture, furniture, porcelain. This collection was one of a kind. The crown jewel of the collection of the Duke was also a spectacular large canvas, The Bather, in the style of Andrei Beloli's Nude, and painting full of expression by Konstantin Makovsky, the preacher. And the antique sculpture Venus with a Dolphin, created by an unknown artist in the 3rd century BC and brought by Romanov after traveling to Europe. Well, perhaps the most famous painting from the collection of Romanov, which is still shrouded in mystery, guesses and assumptions, is the painting Lamentation of Christ. Catalogue of the museum, published in 1929, described the painting painted by the great Italian Renaissance painter Paolo Veronese. In the diaries of the Duke himself, there are records of his trip to Venice and the history of Veronese's masterpiece acquisition. But in subsequent years, the museum documents were listed as the work of an unidentified Venetian artist of the 16th century. According to the director of the museum, Vassilia Faizieva, researchers will have to unwind this tangle for a long time until all the data about this picture becomes reliable. A few years ago, there was a huge sensation about the work of Veronese, which is stored in the collections of the State Museum of Art. Personally, in my opinion, I believe that all the same, now the technology in the museum business is so developed that of course we have to work on this issue. And of course we need experts, say world-class assessment, who would truly admit this fact, and we could easily bring this fact to the court of the world community. A passionate collector and philanthropist, Duke Nikolai Konstantinovich Romanov, in 1918 wrote a will, certified by a notary, where he bequeathed his entire collection to the University of Turkestan. I, the undersigned Grand Duke Nikolai Konstantinovich Romanov, in my sound mind and solid memory, make the following order in case of death. The palace I own in Tashkent and a museum and all property in it I am leaving for life storage and full ownership of the University of Turkestan. It was a reconciled and historic decision, as the prince's collection contained works that aroused delight and reverence for all those who are familiar with the history of world art, from works of Italian Renaissance masters to classics of Russian передвижничества. So the collection of Nikolai Romanov, back in the 20s of the last century, gained the status of an art museum. For me, as an artist, the Art Museum of Uzbekistan is a palace where our nation's treasures kept. Here, it's like a portal. Our museum is like this. From one hall, you enter another world. From Uzbekistan, you come to Europe, from Europe to Russia, from Russia to India, and you understand this is a portal from one world to another, and you get to know everything. It seems to me, in general, for humanity, this is a great find of heritage, an invaluable contribution to this bank, so to speak. This bank is a collection of spiritual values.